right, welcome to another episode of Ask Alice. Today the question is, what is my favorite scene? What has been my favorite scene to write? Okay, so I guess I kind of have a favorite scene for each book. I don't want to go too much into the future books and that, but one of the scenes I really enjoyed writing is one of the sweet moments that, there were a couple, so we'll start with one of the sweet moments that I have with Aaron and Alex in book one, and that's the moment where the first moment he really helps her. So she's afraid to go into the throne room because this is the room where her mother was killed, and so it's triggering post-traumatic stress for her. When she goes in there, she sees her mother's body and she freaks out, and she just doesn't want to be in that room anywhere near it. And when she tries to go in there, she starts having panic attacks and she needs to get the hell out of there. And so one of my favorite scenes is when Aaron comes and he sees her freaking out and trying to leave, and he knows exactly what is happening here because he had the same thing happen with the stables in Dayton after Daniel died. So he steps in to help her, and at first she's just like, what do you want, go away, and she's all snarky at him, but as she's like fleeing from the room, he's like, I know why you can't be in here, and she's like stops and is ready to be all snarky and bitchy back at him, and he's like, because the same thing happened to me with the stables. And she stops and she realizes that he actually has gone through this exact same thing with his brother, and so she kind of opens up just for that moment. She lets him in and sees what he is going to say, and he explains how he got over the whole issue with the stables in Dayton by going a little further every day, lasting a little longer, until he could finally go in the stables without freaking out or crying or running out of there. And so she kind of like tiptoes over to him, and he holds out his hand to her, and he's like, will you let me help you? And so she agrees, and he takes her hand and he just brings her very gently into the room and just gives her that support of somebody knowing what she is facing and what she is going through. And it's one of my favorite scenes because it's just this little gesture. Like, he's tried other things, he wants to be her friend, he wants to help her deal with the royals and that, but this is the most touching thing that I write for them. And I think it is that moment where they kind of like click, because she's afraid and she doesn't let people help her, and she doesn't let people in other than Stefan and Michael because they've proven themselves to her so many times, and yet she tries to let him in, and the success of when he gets in is just insane. And I really love that because it's just that moment. There's one moment of one little thing that he does, which is so Aaron, and it just makes the difference in the whole wide world for her at that moment. Other scenes that I enjoy writing are the banter between Alex and Michael and Stefan. So I really like when they come in and she's all nervous and Michael teases her and he's like, oh, if you're nervous, it's just because you're not mad. You want me to make you mad? He's like, I can get you a puffy dress. And she's just like, do it and you'll be wearing it. So I love their banter because they have such sibling banter between them, even though they're not blood family, they're found family, but it carries on through all the books. Like I wrote a scene where Alex yells at Stefan in a later book, and it's so them, or when Stefan and Alex play a prank on Michael in a later book, like they trick him into doing something that they want him to do by manipulating him. And I'm like, this is just, the three of them are literally like brothers and sister, just because they spent so many years with each other. They know each other inside and out. And I love being able to write that because it's so much fun. You don't need a full explanation of why one of them is feeling that way. Alex can literally walk in the room and be really upset, and you don't need to rehash the story with them. They just hug and they know. And so one of the scenes that I was most happy with is when I actually had to cut, and it was in the morning ceremony bonus scene when Alex came back after having soaked everybody, and she was really upset and she was sad, and she just sat against the door to keep people from coming in. She sat down against the door, and then Michael and Stefan came in from their room, and they just sat on either end of her and sandwiched her and just squished her there because they were like, you're sad, we're just gonna squish you until you're better, and then just like sat there with her. And it's moments like that that I absolutely adore, because the three of them together are just three peas in a pod, and I love that the bond that they have, and that's so much fun to write. So that is probably my favorite scenes to write that I'm going to tell you, because I'm not giving away spoilers for the future books, so sorry. But thanks for stopping by. If you have a question for me, drop it in the comments, and I will try to get to it on my next Ask Alice. Thanks so much, you guys, and have a great day.